Hey everybody, it's Jerry, and what I'm going to show you how to make this time is a dairy-free, gluten-free cheesecake. Now that sounds like it's almost impossible, but this is really good. It's going to be made with cashew cheese, and what we're going to do first is make the crust for it. And so the first thing I've done is slightly melted about a half a cup of coconut butter. Now this is not cocoa butter, this is coconut butter. It comes in a jar, looks like peanut butter basically. I mean the jar does. And when it's warm it gets very soft and it actually melts like butter, and then when it gets to room temperature it's more like peanut butter, or it even gets a little bit harder when it gets even cooler. So I've taken half a cup and just slightly melted it so it's very soft. And then I've got I took a cup of macadamia nuts, finely ground them in the food processor, and that's what we have here. And we're just going to add that into the coconut butter. And then we're going to add about 3/4 a cup of brown rice breadcrumbs. Now you could also use rice flour. That would be another substitution for that, but you can buy this in the health food store. So it's brown rice breadcrumbs. And so we're going to add about 3/4 of a cup. And then I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now this is just raw cane sugar. So this is the healthiest kind of brown sugar that you can get. It's you'll see it's called raw cane sugar, and basically it's brown because it still has the molasses in it. Hasn't had the molasses removed, so it's brown. So we're going to add 3 tablespoons of that. 2, 3. And then we're just going to mix this up all together. And it'll kind of make a sort of a doughy kind of texture to it. Okay, so this is a little bit dry, so I'm going to add a little bit of sesame oil just to give it the right texture. So maybe a tablespoon or so of sesame oil. We'll just add it until we get it to stick together a little better. Add just a little bit more. Okay, so this is starting to get a nice consistency now. It's a little bit crumbly, and it would stick together. When you press it together, it'll stay together. So now we're going to take this and put it into a springform pan. Now I've sprayed the pan with coconut oil just so it won't stick. So we're just going to put this right into the pan. And then we just want to press it down into the bottom and sides of the pan. Just a little bit up the sides. Okay, then once we've got this all spread out, we're going to cook it in a 350-degree oven for roughly 15 minutes, just until it gets golden in color. And then we're going to let that cool. So we'll see you back when we've got our crust done. Okay, so we're back, and our crust has been cooked, baked, so it's sort of golden brown. It took about 15 minutes, so we're just going to set that aside. I've got in my food processor 3 cups of raw cashews, which have been soaked overnight, so they're nice and soft. So 3 cups, put them in the food processor. We're going to grind that up until they're really, really fine, and it'll start to actually get a little creamy. So we're just going to put that on high speed and grind it. Alright, the cashews are a little bit ground up, but it's really not the consistency yet. So what we're going to do is add some agave into the mixture. So we're going to start with about 2 tablespoons of agave. If you need it sweeter, taste it and make sure that it's to your liking. But I'm going to put 2 tablespoons. And then we'll continue grinding that. And we're also going to add the juice of half a lemon. Actually, I could have done that at the beginning. It might help it to make it a little bit more liquid. You can add all these ingredients at the beginning too, but I just want to make sure it's all mixed up. Okay, now I've also added another tablespoon of agave because I tasted it and it wasn't quite sweet enough. And I also added a teaspoon of vanilla to give it a little extra flavor. So we've got this pretty smooth now. And the last thing that we want to do is add some xanthan gum, which will give it a much creamier texture to it. So I'm going to add half a teaspoon of xanthan gum. And then continue grinding that. Okay, one thing that I should mention is if, as you're grinding this up in the food processor, it sounds like it's really sort of struggling and it's the consistency is getting too thick, just add a little bit of water. Have some water nearby and just add a little bit of water until it starts moving again. So you should wind up with a really creamy texture when you're all done. And what we're going to do is just let this sit for a few hours at room temperature, and then we'll come back and put it into our springform pan. Okay, so our cashew mixture has been sitting for a few hours now, and so we're ready to put it into the mold, and then we'll just put it into the refrigerator and let it chill. Okay, so we've just spread it out evenly in the pan, and we'll just put this in the refrigerator, let it chill for a few hours, and we'll come back and check it. Okay, so we're back, and we've been chilling the cheesecake for a few hours, and it's nice and firm now. So I'm just going to remove the outside here carefully. And there we have it, our finished dairy-free, gluten-free cheesecake. So try it at home and enjoy.